Hello, my name is Blair Critch, and I'm coming to you to share with you some quick tips on how to make your calendar your game board for your life. I heard from our CEO and co-founder of the company that I'm with 5 years ago. I heard him say this when I started with this company, which is your calendar should be your game board for your life. That was very intriguing for me. And the next sentence he said after that was that I should be able to open up your calendar and see the things that are most important to you. So obviously for me, those kind of things are my family. I want to make sure that my kids, my husband, the things that are important to me are on there. For me, it's God, family, business, friends. And so I've got to make sure I see those things on there. Also, if you're working a business and maybe you have a side gig, and that's why you're watching this, right? You have a side gig or a side business. If you're watching this, then you want to make sure you have on your calendar when you're working that business. Because if you only work it part-time, you're only going to get a part-time salary. If you only work it sometimes, you're only going to get sometimes money, right? So yes, a business does fit into the nooks and crannies of your life. But you have to decide where are those nooks and crannies and plan out exactly what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. That's when I started to see success. That's when I went from making just right under six figures a year to making high six figures a year and earning $1 million in commissions in 2 years with the company that I'm with. This all happened because I decided to make my calendar my game board for my life. I decided to get organized. I decided to stop treating my business like a hobby and start treating it like a business. So I hope that this planning session right now will help you and guide you as to how to make your calendar the game board for your life. So one of the biggest things that I want to share with you is deciding what's important to you, right? So here we go. We are going to go over this sheet that I can provide for you for free. This is how I figured out my calendar for the week. I do this every single Sunday, by the way. I don't have to fill out this paper anymore because I've made that decision for myself, but I do check in with that paper quarterly to see if I need to change things up, okay? You'll see why in a second. But first and foremost, you got to decide, what calendar am I going to use? I personally love these two. Law of Attraction Planner, you can get it on Amazon, or Passion Planner, passionplanner.com. If it asks you who your referral is, put Blair Critch, because about every 3 or 4 times I get one of those, I get a free planner, and I use them for giveaways on my Facebook. So make sure you follow me on facebook.com/sparklyblair. All right, so the reason I prefer those two is because they have every 30 minutes slotted. And for example, Passion Planner starts at 6 a.m. and goes until 10:30 p.m. Law of Attraction starts at 5 a.m. and goes till 10 p.m. So just whatever one's better for you. But it's nice because it slots every 30 minutes, and it makes it so much easier as you're time blocking. The next thing you want to make sure you have is 4 highlighter colors. You might decide you don't need 4, but I bet you will. And also make sure you have pen or pencils. I personally prefer pencils. The reason I do my calendar in pencil is because sometimes people have to cancel. That's life, right? Or something changes, so I can erase it and now have that spot open to put something else in, okay? So what we're going to decide first is, what are those important things to you? My husband loves to call them rocks, right? Because if you put the rocks in first and you get that done, then you can pour all the little pebbles in and they'll fit in the jar. You guys can look this analogy up. Or if you put all the pebbles in first and do all the little things, the big rocks actually can't fit in the jar. So it's important to know, like, what are those big rocks, right? Earlier I was saying for me, it's, faith, family, business, friends. Well, my calendar, it looks kind of like this. I decide that one of the focuses is my kids. You guys can see my example. One of my focuses is husband. One of them is work, and one of them is personal. Okay, so I've color coded based on that. Easy for me to remember. I have 2 boys. Blue is for kids schedules, and pink is for my husband because that reminds me of love. Work, I do orange or yellow. Kind of depends on which marker I can find in my house at the time, because I do have 2 teenage boys who steal my yellow highlighters all the time, which is why I started buying orange, because they don't seem to want orange. Or personal, which is purple. Okay, so that way it's easy for me to remember when I'm looking at my calendar really fast. I know what those highlights stand for. Okay. Then once I've decided that, I decide which social media platforms am I going to use for my business. If you've already mastered 1 or 2, stick with those right now to get yourself super organized. Then you might decide as your business needs another growth that you might want another social media platform. For me personally, it's been that I'm really great at Facebook and I'm really great at Instagram. And so for me, I'm not really doing anything in between right now, okay? But I do love to download videos onto YouTube, and I want to get a little bit better at learning how to go live on YouTube. So that's something in my future I'm going to be doing when I'm ready to move my business again. All right, then I pick 3 times a day that I'm going to check my social media platforms. So if I'm checking Facebook and Instagram, what are those 3 times a day that I'm going to check in? I need about 20 minutes both times to not only put in what I'm going to put in, but to spend 10 minutes commenting on other people's things to help my algorithm. One of those 3 times that I check on my social media for the day, I give myself 30 minutes so I can go into some groups and maybe drop an amazing article that would help somebody else or comment on something that somebody else has given into the group. That's how I meet new friends. Next thing you want to do, and that will keep you from going through the Facebook and Instagram world of scroll, and looking all the time, right? If it's allotted on your calendar 3 different times, don't worry. You'll get your dopamine hit from your social media, but you'll also be organized and you won't waste minutes and that turn into hours on social media. All right, the next thing is pick 2 times to check on your emails. So for me, the 2 times are right before I pick up my kids from school in the afternoon, because emails don't tend to be urgent like a Facebook message or a text message. So I get to my kids' school about 25 minutes early. Those of you that know me and follow me on social media, you know I do this and I try to share it quite often. I get there as early as I can, 20, 25 minutes early, and I go through all my emails. And I try to delete anything that I don't need. I try to answer immediately and move on. I don't like to have tons of emails in there. Now listen, do I have some emails that I've kept for a long time? Yes. But here's a little millionaire tip. Every time I'm on the ascend in an airplane before I can use Wi-Fi, I spend that time going through old emails and erasing them because there's no reason to save them, as well as all my photos. Because sometimes we'll take 10 photos to get that one good one. So why not erase the other 9, right? So that's what I use that dull time on the airplane for. I've traveled about once a month. Okay, next thing is you're picking the 2 times for your email. For me, it's right before I pick up my kids in the afternoon, and then again right before I go to bed at night, just to make sure a teacher or sports or something hasn't changed, okay? That, again, so I don't get stuck into the land of checking emails. What time am I going to wake up and go to bed? Studies show that you need at least 8 hours of sleep, 7 minimum, to have healthy and vibrant life. Okay, so get your sleep, people. But you also know that the top CEOs and top billionaires all say they get up before other people get up in the morning and start their day. So decide ahead of time, what time are you going to go to bed at night and what time are you going to get up? It's actually better for your body to stay consistent even on Saturday and Sunday than it is to go all crazy wonky and change it. Okay, so if you can't stay consistent, stay consistent. So I know that I'm going to wake up every single morning at 6 a.m. and I know that my bedtime is 9:30 or 10 depending on the night. Next one, what time will you review your day and plan for tomorrow? Darren Hardy calls it a bookend, and I love that. He said you have to bookend your day. You double check your calendar, make sure everything got done, what didn't. You move on, evaluate why it didn't happen, where can you move it to tomorrow. You also go to bed with a clear mind because you know what's coming up tomorrow. You're not forgetting about your kids' play. You're not forgetting about all these things, right? So now you have filled out this paper and you know the things that you need in order to be organized. But now you're going to take what you did on here and you're going to move it into your calendar. How are you going to do that? You're going to put in the big rocks. Okay. So every Sunday I do a planning with myself and then I do a planning with my husband. So this is how the planning goes down. All right. I looked right here. What do my kids have this week? I'm filling it in on the calendar. What night this week am I spending time with my husband? Are we doing a date night? What night are we having family dinners? Because in our house, we do breakfast every single morning, 7 a.m., along with devotions, gratitude, and prayer requests. And so we know we're eating a meal together every single day. But dinner doesn't always happen in our house because we have this sport, that sport. I have calls. I have Zooms. So we plan on the calendar what nights during the week we are going to meet the 4 of us for dinner, or maybe just to play a game, or maybe to watch a special show. Okay, so we always have that planned as well. If my husband's going out of town or he needs me to make sure that I'm available for something, that goes on the calendar. The next thing that I fill in before I start filling in other things is my own personal things. Like, working out every single day is really important for my brain health as well as my body health. I know that I need to fill in my own personal time in devotion and gratitude. I do that first thing in the morning. I hold a Bible study on Wednesdays from 12 to 1. That goes into my personal things, okay? But that doesn't count my time like going out with the girls. Next, I fill in work. Okay, so I have time blocks for my team that I'm available for them. If nothing gets filled in for that, then awesome. I'm going to move on to something else in my business that's helpful, like a training video or going live on my team page or checking in on my customer groups and those kind of things. I also have time slotted every single day for what we call the IPAs, the income producing activities. That's reach outs, follow-ups, adding new people to my list, and making sure that I'm getting people on 3-way message or 3-way calls with my upline leaders once somebody's interested. Okay, so I'm making sure that's put on the calendar. I know it takes me about 20 minutes to do reach outs, another 20 minutes for follow ups. To add two new people to my list usually comes from a networking event during the week or me getting onto some social media platforms and things like that. So that's how I make sure that all the big rocks for my business get on there, as well as team trainings, as well as new promoter trainings, as well as any corporate calls that I need to be on. Those all go in. Now I have some extra space to look at my calendar and go, great, where am I available for my team? Great. Do I have extra time this week? Could I go to a networking event? Could I go to hang out with some friends? Could I go to an extra event at my kids' school? Those kind of things all get fit into the calendar after everything else is done. Now, here's the hardest part. You have to follow your calendar. It is hard. I'm not joking. So here's what I always tell people. Give yourself 30 days. Do this consistently for 30 days and see if you see a difference in your business, a difference with your time. What I found after 30 days was not only was my business moving forward and I got way more organized with my reach outs, my follow-ups, not getting sucked into the land of social media, but on top of that, here's the most exciting thing that I found that I was having more time with my family in a more endearing way, in a more focused, a more present way than I ever had before. And yet I still had lots of time for my business because I was super organized and consistent. So I'm going to challenge you, stick with this for 30 days. Reach out to me and let me know how it's going. Facebook.com/SparkleBlair or check me out on Instagram, Blair Critch 2. Can't wait to hear how this calendar is helping you become the success that you deserve. I can't wait to see the game board for your life.